Hi everyone, and welcome to the Benchmarking Project Kickoff webinar. I will introduce myself briefly. My name is Sarah Lake. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Digital Preservation Librarian at Concordia University, and also Carl's Visiting Program Officer for Digital Preservation. Maybe I'll let my colleague Amanda introduce herself as well.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Tomé. I'm the Preservation Coordinator with the Digital Research Alliance of Canada, where I work with research data deposited in the Federated Research Data Repository, or FERDR.
Thanks, Amanda. So we're here today to provide some information about Carl's benchmarking project, a project whose aim is to help institutions across Canada benchmark their digital preservation capabilities. I also want to start with my own land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge with gratitude that I'm on the unceded traditional lands and waters of the Ganagahaga Nation, who are part of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. As a white settler who was born and raised here in Tiohtià:ke, also known as Montreal, I recognize that my relationship to this place comes with a responsibility and a commitment to acting with respect and reciprocity. I promise to continue supporting Indigenous-led initiatives and organizations and seeking ways to deepen my stewardship through ongoing action. So I encourage you to add your own land acknowledgement in the chat, and you can visit nativeland.ca to learn more about where you're located. So Elizabeth already went over the code of conduct, so I will skip over that part. And I will go over to our agenda for the call today. So we're going to have a little introduction to Carl's Digital Preservation Working Group and give a bit of context to this benchmarking project. We're also very lucky to have Anna Perici of the Digital Preservation Coalition, who is on the call today, and she will be giving a short pre-recorded introduction to RAM, and she'll be available as well to answer any questions afterwards. We're going to go over the timeline for the project, the submission process for results, and we'll also provide some details about the resources that the subcommittee has put together to support those who are undertaking the assessment. We'll discuss our office hours, and then at the end, we'll have a short Mentimeter poll that will help us understand the needs of those who would like to participate, and we'll have some time for questions as well at the end. And I also want to reiterate that both Amanda and I speak French, so si vous voulez poser des questions en français, soyez la bienvenue. Okay, so I'll say a few words about the DPWG, the Carl's Digital Preservation Working Group. So this project is led by the DPWG. The DPWG works towards the long-term stewardship of Canada's digital scholarly record and documentary heritage and supports the mandate of Carl's Advancing Research Committee. Its work includes assessing digital preservation capacity, available resources, and funding opportunities within the Canadian research community, identifying and promoting relevant approaches, standards, practices, and technologies, and also liaising with relevant international efforts. The DPWG also organizes the At-Risk North forums on digital preservation. The DPWG includes members from national institutions such as Library and Archives Canada and Bibliothèque et Archives nationales du Québec, as well as research libraries and archives across the country. More information about the DPWG and its current membership can be found on Carl's website. So to give a bit of context about this benchmarking project, it grew out of findings from At-Risk North 3, which took place in November 2024, and gaining insight into the status of digital preservation in Canada was identified as a high priority. So a national benchmarking exercise was one of the action items that was recommended in the summit report. So a project subcommittee was formed within the DPWG to facilitate this benchmarking exercise. Amanda took sort of the first lead with this project, and then I joined on when I joined as a visiting program officer to kind of co-lead the project with her. So I want to give a lot of credit to Amanda for kind of the early stages of this. Um, so we will be using the DPC RAM, or Rapid Assessment Model, as our benchmarking tool, which Anna will tell us more about in just a moment. Um, Participants who complete the assessment will be invited to submit their anonymized results to Carl, which we will then use to generate a report for the community, and we'll collectively discuss next steps based on the results. So we will be phasing the project. So the first phase that we're launching today with this webinar is what we're calling the pilot phase. It's really just aimed at Carl member institutions. So the idea is to start with a smaller scale version of the project with maybe a couple dozen participants to then be able to apply the lessons learned from this pilot phase and then adapt that to a larger audience. So the second phase will start this winter or early spring 2026, and it will be aimed at the broader preservation community. So we're really trying to get a comprehensive portrait beyond just research libraries and national repositories. So everything from municipal archives to community archives to museums to data repositories, everyone will be included in this broader phase. So I will hand things off over to Anna, which I'll play the recording that she shared with us. But before I do that, maybe we can pause for just a quick little poll because I'm curious to know how many people have actually done RAM in this room. So I do have a Mentimeter link that I'll share in the chat. And please bear with me because I haven't used this all that much. But if you click on this link, you should see a poll that has the question, have you completed a RAM assessment before? Okay, and I do see some results, so that means it's working. It's great. Are you able to see my results screen right now? Yes, excellent. Yay, everything's working great. Okay, so we've got 9 people who said yes, 5 no, 1 person unsure. All right, so we've got some people who've done it and some people who haven't. That's good. It's a nice mix. Maybe I'll leave it up one more little minute, see if we get more people. Oh, okay. Excellent. Okay, great. So that's nice. It'll be a good mix of seasoned people and new people, which I think is a really helpful combination to have. Okay, great. So there's some more questions in the poll, but I will leave that till later on in the presentation. And for now, I will just play Anna's introduction. Anna, did you want to say anything before I hit play or?
I should probably just say that I'm the head of DPC Americas, DPC being the Digital Preservation Coalition, which all of you know. It's America's plural, very intentionally. So North and South America are the regions I focus on. And if you have any questions about DPC more broadly, I'm always happy to answer them. Today's about RAM, and I didn't even go over the DPC membership slides. We're really focused on supporting you on this project, and we're absolutely thrilled that you're undertaking it. So yeah, Sarah, if you want to hit play, that'd be wonderful.
Awesome, thank you. And can someone just give me a little thumbs up to make sure that the sound and everything is working good?
Hi, my name is Anna Perici. I'm coming to you from the Digital Preservation Coalition, and I'm here to talk to you about DPC's Rapid Assessment Model, also known as RAM. So what is RAM? As I said, it's a rapid assessment model, which means it's a maturity model for digital preservation. So RAM can be used to help you work out where you are and where you'd like to be with regards to your digital preservation operations. It can help with other elements of your digital preservation work as well, in that it is a great tool for forward planning and making the case for resources for digital preservation. Where did the RAM come from? Well, it was developed as part of a collaborative project with the UK's Nuclear Decommissioning Authority. It was launched at IPRES in 2019. It's largely based on a model from Adrian Brown as published in Practical Digital Preservation. Practical Digital Preservation was a book that was also a Digital Preservation Award winner in 2014. The DPC has Digital Preservation Awards that we award every 2 years for outstanding work in digital preservation. Not only was the model developed in feedback from Adrian, it was also developed with feedback from the wider DPC membership. So guiding principles. We think that RAM should be all of the following: applicable for organizations of any size in any sector, applicable for all content of long-term value, preservation strategy and solution agnostic, based on existing good practice, not necessarily best practices, good practice is good enough, and the best we can do sometimes. Simple to understand and quick to apply. Also, continuous improvement is central and essential. What does RAM look like? Well, here's a quick overview of the two main sections, which are organizational capabilities and service capabilities. I won't read this out and you'll soon become very familiar with it, but essentially we've broken down the key components both of organizational capabilities and service capabilities. Now, you're selecting a score for yourself, and they are as follows. 1, minimal awareness, in that the organization has minimal awareness of the need to support digital preservation activities. So this is a starting point, but not a place of immediate strength. Awareness, the organization is aware of the need to support digital preservation activities, a first step. Second, 2 would be basic. Digital preservation activities are supported and resourced at a basic level within the organization. Managed, digital preservation activities are managed and supported within the organization. And finally, optimized. Digital preservations are proactively managed, enhanced, and developed within the organization. Now, it's important to note that you aren't always necessarily shooting for a 4. You don't necessarily need to be working at a 4. Sometimes a basic level within the organization is fine. Sometimes managed is quite good and quite good enough. So here's an example to help of what basic might look like for organizational viability. I'm not going to read this. You'll have the slides available to you later, but something really important to remember is that they're only examples and you should use them to help you define where you are, but not be too literal about it and not get stuck on ones that aren't necessarily applicable to you. How to use RAM. So you're working out where you currently sit. It's important to be honest and realistic. There are no half marks, so you kind of have to fall on one side or the other, but this isn't a test. You won't be graded. It's not a trusted digital repository certification. This is a low stakes, do the best you can. And as I said, don't take examples too literally. You're also working out where you'd like to be. Be realistic. Consider the time frame you're working in, and again, don't assume you have to aim for the top score. This is the RAM worksheet. RAM has multiple components, mainly an Excel sheet and a set of directions. In the Excel sheet, you'll be able to visualize your results, which is very helpful, especially if you do RAM more than once. We recommend you do RAM annually if you can, and that enables you to see how you're doing and how your program is growing, or in some cases, receding. That happens too. So here's the URL to download RAM in English or French. Now, you need to consider the scope of your assessment. Which part or parts of your organization are you measuring? Which digital assets are in scope? Is it all digital archives, research data, business records, digitized AV materials, digitized documents, websites? The RAM can be used for any and all of these. You also need to think about your timeline for target levels. The model will ask you where you'd like to be, but it makes a difference in terms of when. When is that? When could that be? A year, 3 years, 5 years, or some undefined point in the future? So the benefits of a collaborative RAM assessment, it is okay to do a RAM on your own, especially if you're a small organization or you're kind of a party of one. But there are many benefits to doing it as a collaborative exercise with colleagues if you have them. It's helpful to have a range of views and expertise, some polite arguments maybe. More people make the assessment less subjective and this increases understanding of the shared challenge that is digital preservation. Self-assessment is the first step. After completing RAM, you may want to share it with colleagues. You may want to use it as a starting place for a conversation. It's also a really helpful component in a business case for digital preservation. You will want to collaboratively set priorities. In which areas will you be able to progress first? You will be able to use it to establish a roadmap or a plan for moving forward. You can also create an aspirational preservation policy that reflects your goals. So it's useful to do a RAM assessment more than once, and ideally annually, because it'll let you see where things are and where things are going, and whether that's forward or backward. As I said, sometimes there are times of progress and times of recession. Also, early on, sometimes people don't fully understand the questions and will give themselves a slightly higher score the first time versus the second time. That's fine. That's healthy. That's normal. And we appreciate the honesty that you will give to this. So, a benefit of RAM is that it doesn't take a lot of time to do. You know, this should be a couple hours, and really, like, we're really hoping that once you do it once, uh, it'll be clear how valuable the process is and how valuable the results are. So RAM for DPC members. DPC members support the DPC financially and therefore have additional benefits that are available to them. So they are able to ask for help completing the RAM assessment. We also offer programming for them in the form of RAM Jam, which is a way to share case studies, lessons learned, and more. Amanda gave a great presentation in RAM Jam last year, for example. Rambulance is a one-on-one session or one DPC member or two or three, and one DPC staff member or two or three to help you work out any challenges with RAM together. Members also can share their results with us, the DPC, and see anonymized results that were shared with the DPC. This is something that is just for members. But there are other free to all complimentary resources, for example, DPC CAT, which we'll talk about at the end of this presentation, the Competency Assessment Toolkit. We also have courses online that are asynchronous and self-guided. They fall under the title Novice to Know-How. So there's an Intro to Digital Preservation, there's an email preservation course, and two others that are really great. We also offer free toolkits for advocacy, business cases, policymaking, and more. So the role of the DPC in this pilot, first, this is a self-assessment for your institution and the collective CARL dataset. No one is here to tell you what score you should give yourself. But we are here to support and answer questions about assessment. If you're not a DPC member, please email via the info address here for CARL, and then the questions can be routed to us via, say, Sarah or Amanda, and we'll be able to help you that way. And please remember, there's absolutely no judgment from us or hopefully anyone about your digital preservation maturity. And RAM scores of community members should be considered confidential information. Next steps, you complete your RAM assessment, you share your RAM assessment with CARL for benchmarking, consider what skills are needed to reach your RAM targets, and you can use the DPC Competency Audit Toolkit, DPC CAT, to figure out how to attain the skills that you need. So I'd give you a little rundown on the Digital Preservation Coalition if we had a little more time, but I'll save that for another day and just end with a picture of some of the logos of our members. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, Anna, did you want to say anything else about the presentation?
Not a whole lot more. I know that Jen did a presentation on the DPC website as well. So if you want another perspective on this, her version is very good, of course. I also should have mentioned more than once that DPC members, some of some of whom are on this call can come to us directly. They don't have to necessarily go through the info address that was probably made clear earlier in the presentation, but I should just repeat that. We really appreciate our members, of course, and would offer them the same support through this pilot as we would at any other time. Are there any questions for, me, or that I should pass on to our good practice team, or for Sarah about logistics? I'll volunteer you, Sarah. Uh, any thoughts in the chat or to say out loud?
I'll just add that we are going to give a little bit more info about like the logistics of the project in the next few slides. But if anyone has questions very specifically about the RAM model, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll also have time for more questions at the end. Otherwise, I think we'll move on. And we'll also be sharing that recording in the participant resources as well. So you have a chance to revisit it if you want. Okay, so I wanted to say just a little word about the project timeline. So as I mentioned, we're currently launching the first phase. So we're envisioning essentially from now until the end of December that you would have to complete your assessments and submit your results. That's also, if that's too short a deadline for you, you're welcome to participate or submit your results in the second cohort as well. So it's really up to you. Later this month, we will be hosting office hours to provide some extra support for those who are completing the assessment, especially if it's your first time. And we'll also have some, I think, a survey to collect a bit of feedback about your experience with this process sometime in December. So early in 2026, we're going to review the results of this pilot, collect feedback, see how it went, see what adjustments we need to make for the second cohort. And then we plan to have a kickoff event in early April 2026 for the broader community. Again, we'll host office hours, and we're envisioning the benchmarking period to be from April to July 2026 for that broader phase. And then from July to October, we're going to analyze the results and produce a final report in November. And we'll be hosting town halls to discuss the next steps with the preservation community. So just a word about submitting results. So submitting the results of your assessment is totally voluntary. So one of the main goals of this project is to create a snapshot of the state of digital preservation in Canada and identify some areas where we can collectively build capacity. So we strongly encourage you to submit your results to contribute to the success of the project. We've set up a submissions folder using Nextcloud. So the Nextcloud servers that we're using are hosted at Simon Fraser University. So all the data is in Canada. And we've created anonymized versions of the DPC RAM templates, which are available in our participant resources folder. So we ask that you use these in order to submit your results to protect your privacy and also to ensure consistency across submissions. The results will be reviewed by the DPWG, and aggregated results will be deposited to the Federated Research Data Repository, FRDR. So we've gathered all of the participant resources in a directory, which you can find on the CARL website, and which is also linked on this slide. So we have everything in English and in French. And the package includes the project timeline, a guide to getting started with some helpful tips and guidance, the anonymized DPC RAM templates, as well as guidelines for submitting your results once your assessment is complete. And we have some use cases with completed assessments that serve as examples. So I'll actually put those links in the chat so you have them at hand. And I'll also share the link to the project webpage that has a bit more information about the project. Okay. So I mentioned that we're going to be hosting office hours. These are to provide some additional support for participants. We're envisioning them as kind of informal community sessions that will be a friendly space to just ask questions, get some feedback, or maybe just have some dedicated time to work on your assessment. So members of the DPWG will be present to help facilitate conversation and share our perspectives. But it's not really going to be like a presentation or workshop. It's really envisioned as more of a peer support event where participants can collectively share knowledge and tackle tough questions together. So we're going to be hosting one session in English and one in French, and registration information will be sent out this week for those. We're also planning to have a collaborative Q&A document that people will be able to kind of add questions and answers to, and that you'll be able to take away as well to help you in completing your assessment. So if you are ready to do some benchmarking with us, here are some next steps to participate in the project. So you can go to the resources folder that I shared and download your DPC round template. You can check out the Getting Started guide. You can also spread the word. CARL is obviously a more library-focused network, but we know that libraries are not the only units in universities that have digital preservation responsibilities. So if there are other units or departments within your institution that you think might want to participate, please feel free to share this information with them. We welcome institutions to submit multiple assessments for different departments. You can also register for the office hours. As I mentioned, an email with registration info will be sent out this week. And once your assessment is complete, you can submit your anonymized results to CARL, and we'll have a short survey as well where you can provide some feedback on your experience. And I think that concludes the presentation portion. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at info@carl-abrc.ca, and questions will be forwarded to Amanda and I.